was the one. Grillin' me, y'all shine the sun.
Lay it down proper, rapid fire like a chopper. Keep him singing like an opera, operator like a mobster.
Hey guys, I'm Josh.
And I'm Lala.
We're over here with Our Utah, and we're focusing on a concert series we got going up.
It's really important that each concert series that we have specific call to actions to get millennials civically engaged. Today we have with us...
Hey everybody, it's Shadø. Follow me at Shadø Nation, OW, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, man.
It's me next. I'm VOSENSEI, MuzicClan. You already know, Lake Monster.
You can see that our guests have their sport and their brands and stuff. So tell us a little bit about that. I see that you wearing your shirt, your name's on your shirt, your name's on your shirt.
Push the brand.
So you gotta have, you must have a movement going on or something like that, like.
Yeah. I mean, it's just important. It's just important as artists and in the industry to just to have a team and a brand and a conglomerate of people around you that can help push anything that you're about,
Yeah, and it's good to have that that community almost. You know what I mean? It's like your friends, your people, your team, your tribe.
Exactly.
You know what I
It's
mean?
more of a clan, actually.
And there you go.
That's exactly right. We created the MuzicClan because we wanted to have a safe space for people who think a certain way, people who are inspired in a different way, who move against the grain, whatever the case may be. Because when you're not around that energy, like that, it's like a flower that doesn't get sunlight. It's never blossom. So we're trying to plant as many seeds as possible, and in this environment, you're safe to think the way you want to think, try new things, be an individual. And that's really what we're pushing. And Utah is the perfect place to do that because we have no one who has set forth a culture before us. So we're the ones. Our Utah, we can do what we want with it. So
That's why he's the sensei. That's why he's the sensei.
I love how you said that, like you're dropping seeds. It's almost like seeds of light, you know what I mean? Trying to bring light to this, like almost like this dark time that we're in. I mean, Donald Trump is our president, like
that happened.
How do you guys feel about that? Does it affect you guys? Do you even feel like any type of, you know what I mean? Does it affect you guys at all?
I think it was a necessary evil in a sense. Donald Trump, to be honest, I feel like because there has always been the shady, shaky ground that American culture has been on for a long time, especially in the light of diversity,
Right.
And the racism has always been going down, injustice has always been going down. But if it was for the benefit of the dollar, it was okay, But now that us millennials don't care about the dollar like they used to, we can get dollars different ways. Now we're like, okay, now no, you can't just kill people for the dollar.
But so there is a stereotype that millennials don't care, that they're not civically engaged, that they're almost like lazy when it comes to, kind of doing their homework on these types of things. Do you think that that's real? Like that stereotype? Do you see that?
I wouldn't call it lazy. What it is we are a generation that's lacking leaders. We don't have the leaders as strong. We're getting them. There's people to look up to, even though, and the hard thing is in our community, we look down on some of our leaders. Like you look like a Nick Cannon, for example. Somebody that people on Twitter or whatever, they won't take him seriously. But if you really listen to the rhetoric that the brother's speaking, it's very important, and he's somebody that's a pillar in our community. So I think it's more a syndrome of you have a lot of sheep with no shepherds. So they feel this way. A lot of us feel this way, but they just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
They don't have a direction.
So it's important to create a platform and generate that energy, you know what I mean? Speak that language and generate that movement, create that movement, and then use your platform.
You have to, because in a sense that's what success is, especially in American culture. The success in American culture is to have a business or is to have a land with with a farm, however you want to break it down. The American dream was to have something that is yours and that you and your family can share, and that nobody else really has. They can work for you or you can provide for them, but at the end of the day it's still yours, and that's essentially what you have to build is your platform, so that whether it be good, whether it be bad, whether it be Obama who wants to uphold everybody and uphold the standard with his platform, or whether it be Trump who wants to build a wall with his platform, but either way it's important to have that platform or else you don't have a voice.
Right. Now, one of Trump's agendas is to give kind of like more leverage to law enforcement, kind of give them more leeway. Do you feel like they already have enough? Do you feel like they have too much?
Absolute power corrupts absolutely. We have people who already have too much power. Giving them more power is corrupting them even more. What they need is education. They don't need more power. They need more tools, more resources.
And that's a great point, because I think here in Utah we're 50th in the country for per people expenditures. We're last in the country, guys. It's a real problem. What do you guys feel like? I think I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about the kids, and I personally think for a lot of the issues we have, if we were to focus on education, it would simultaneously take care of a lot of the other issues. I mean, even in relationships with law enforcement, right? A lot of the relationships have to do with not someone stepping or impeding upon our rights is because we are not educated on what we know and what they can do. And maybe sometimes they don't even know. They just see it as the culture, right? I see Sergeant doing this all the time. And we're doing the same thing, right? So what do you guys think about that?
What's hard with that scenario is, why is it the responsibility of the civilian to know? I understand that the reality is everybody should know their rights is important, because they're not using this as a shield, it is a sword. So you got to know the law. But in a vacuum, when you go to the hospital, you're not required to know how to fix your leg and make sure the doctor does everything.
But don't you think each individual should kind of have that sense of accountability? You know what I mean? It's at this point, I feel like we know that we can't trust necessarily. We can't necessarily trust law enforcement to tell us what our rights are. You know what I mean?
Well, I took criminal justice classes, and my teacher was an ex-cop, and the first thing he taught us was, we don't have to tell the truth to the bad guys. But then if we live in a society where you're innocent till proven guilty, how do you know I'm a bad guy? So you have to tell me my rights, because I'm not a bad guy until proven guilty.
And so that's where Miranda comes in. And you know what I mean? The only reason why officers have to tell us about our rights now is because they did it before and then they got in trouble. So why is it this system of it's not until something wrong happens and something messed up for it to be made right? You know.
But even then, they're still struggling to take accountability. You know, even in the midst of everybody seeing the reckoning is what I'm gonna call it. You know, everybody seeing how outrageous they're going. They're still his body cam was off. We'll get.
We have to invest.
We'll figure it out. Hold on. You know, when the city, everybody knows what happened, and they are outraged. Okay, yeah, whether y'all rule it justified or not, the hearts of the city is destroyed now. And so then what is your job? What are you really doing then?
So do you feel like it's possible to create a culture where the people do have more faith in law enforcement? Or is it possible to build those bridges?
Yes. And if it is, how important is that piece that you mentioned? Because I feel like accountability, personally, that's a big part. If you can't even take accountability for the mistakes you're making now, how are we going to move forward? So how big of a piece is that in reestablishing this relationship with the police department?
It's important, just like you said, in any sort of relationship with anybody you're talking to, it's hard to move past the wrongdoing until the person is able to admit this was wrong. Trevor Noah, when he was sitting down with Tommy Loren, he was talking about in South Africa during apartheid. The way they transitioned to getting towards more equality was they were willing to admit that, yes, we had a system that was set up against Native people.
Yeah.
That's the first step in the healing, is admit. What do they say when you go to rehab? Admitting the problem is the first step. We know these cliches, we say them all the time, but it's when do we actually start making them apply to where they matter?
So there's this lack of acknowledgement of white privilege.
Because it makes us feel crazy. It's blue
privilege. It's blue privilege. It's not even. It was white privilege when they were killing black people, and everybody was outrageous toward it. And then they started killing white people, Caucasians. They started killing their own. And then all of a sudden now it's citizens versus the police instead of a race war. You know.
Right. And it's almost like the media's trying to spin it into a race war.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, to divide people. And that's why it's important to have that movement of that unity. And what were you saying? They keep trying.
But yeah, that they keep the law enforcement. They keep trying to spin it back out it's because people are making an outrageous move on us. You know, my life was threatened. Blah blah blah. These things that your training and your funding and our tax money should have cleared this up. I'm paying for you to be trained and to diffuse any type of hostile situation, but you're killing teenagers, then you know.
But he's segueing into your question of how do we get the people to have faith back in the cops, and it starts with, do we feel like our cops are equipped with the tools to handle a situation? Because think about it. First off, the way I explain it is education, like we were talking about earlier. What is the degree of sociology? The study of people. Don't you think that should be a mandatory requirement for somebody who is engaging with people every day?
On a constant basis,
Right.
definitely.
And what surprises me is that law enforcement, in order to be an officer, you literally have less training, less studying, you have less than like a cosmetologist.
Exactly.
Like you need to go to school longer to do hair than you do to be an officer. Like in certain counties, you just need a high school diploma. You know what I'm saying? So why is it that you wouldn't trust a surgeon to perform surgery on your body if he never went to school? You know what I'm saying?
Why do lawyers have to go to school more than cops? Lawyers aren't killing people.
Right. Lawyers are defending people.
Using the same laws that the cops are the first line. You don't get to speak to the lawyer if the cop murders you in cold blood.
Yeah.
So all the school that your lawyer did is for nothing because the man who is the gateway to you and your rights doesn't know the law.
So
doesn't know how to handle a
daily
situation
basis,
every day.
So would you say that is like imperative? We have to educate officers more, or do we have to educate people more? Is it both in order for those bridges to be
You have to educate the cops first. There should be a master's. If I was president tomorrow, there is a master's degree requirement to be a police.
Or
give them more of a budget if you need
treat
to,
them or treat them like children and take their weapons away.
Right.
Make it harder for y'all then.
Cops in England can't shoot people.
So now make it more dangerous to be a cop then.
And what happened to the
you can't kill
crime
us, but
rate?
let's try and kill y'all then. Oh, see how much you read into you being a cop.
Right.
Let's see how much you read into self-defense and read into actually diffusing the situation.
Because one thing
when you don't have the power to just end it, the whole situation.
And
when you're in the, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll give a personal experience because I'm a pretty calm individual. I'm pretty peaceful. I don't really engage. But from the appearance, I'm 6'4", dreadlocks. So a cop will come out to me. He's not comfortable in his abilities to dissolve the situation if I'm irate. So he's already coming up scared and nervous. I can hear it in his voice. I can see it in his mannerisms. That's a cop that's going to shoot. Why? Because he's not comfortable in his training. I can be comfortable in a situation because I know I can resolve this situation on any level. If you got up right now and started throwing tables and stuff, I know I could restrain you. I know if you went to the next level, then I could try to neutralize you. And then at the next point, then if we have to put you down, we'll put you down. But I'm comfortable enough to know that I can take those steps with you, and depending on who you are, we can have that level. Because some people, you have to put them down. But you have to be comfortable.
The majority of the time, it's probably de-escalation would be.
But if you pull up on a 4-year-old in a park with a toy gun and you don't have enough discernment to be like, hey, let me see if I can dissolve this situation in a different way.
But even the aspect that that police officers threatened by a 4-year-old, like if that was a 4-year-old white child, he wouldn't be threatened. So why is there this perception that a black child is more aggressive, or a black child isn't seen as a child? You know what I mean?
That's a long systematic racism
now we get into the history of
that's been deep rooted in American culture.
So let's bring it back to the music then. Right. So you guys say that you have your own personal experiences. Do you ever write about them, or do you how do you kind of use your platform? You know, because it's really heavy to talk about it all the time.
Right.
But I mean, do you bring it up sometimes, or do you try to do your part
Absolutely.
in the community?
No, don't run from it at all. I have a song. I got multiple songs that will talk about the situation from my own personal perspective in terms of songs like Paranoid, because being a young black man in America, you are paranoid. You do live in a state of paranoia, and that does not get addressed enough. We talk about a society that's dealing with mental issues on both sides. How does it feel if you were living in a constant state of paranoia on both ends? These cops, PTSD is a real thing. You're in the war. They feel like they are in a mental war zone every day. And then we feel like we are in a war zone where we're not even in a war zone. At this point, we're victims of terror.
We're
victims
being
of terror.
terrorized.
Exactly. We're being occupied. That's exactly what it is.
That's serious, though. That's how
That's the best way I've heard it put. It feels like we are being occupied by a foreign
depending on the platform you have, that's the extent that you can take your expressionism, you know. If you don't even have a voice, a platform to have a voice, then when you scream and shout, the police are harassing me and this needs to change, nobody's going to hear you,
Right.
you know.
Right.
So you have to put in the groundwork within your own community so people can see your platform, such as how we are in this music, how we do this music. So that way when you can put out a song, I have a song called Young, Black, and Faded. Go to my YouTube channel at Shadø Nation, check that one out, that's a good one. And that one speaks on the struggles of being a young, black male in American culture. When you want to be, you want to be faded, you want to go out and have fun and be young, but then you run the risk of getting killed outside just for being young and black. When you're really educated, when we're really educated, we're really trying to help the society.
Right.
But that's not what they see, or that's not what they're worried about in the moment, in the heat of the moment.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming out and having this discussion with us. Do you have any shows coming up that you want to tell everyone about?
Oh yeah, let's talk about the move. So April's going to be a big month for the city. Keep your 420 open. We know what the holiday that is, but get out your haze because the city's going to take a huge elevation. 420. Then we got music videos coming out.
Dropping. I just dropped a music video, No Faze Me. Check that out on Facebook, YouTube, at Shadø Nation. You guys know it's going to be a good one. And then, the summer, going into the summer, we're going to have a lot of events, so y'all rock with us, man.
Well, thank you guys so much for all that you do and using your platform to further the message, and I think it's great. Thank you guys for coming out.
Thank y'all for having us.
Take a hit, gon' fly with me. Younger lifter, bring the sky with me. I need racks and show 'em talking 550. When it's time to blow, I got the loud.